Let's back up a bit and talk about inspiration. You see, I went to Berlin last year. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. I saw some supervillain architecture, frankly overdosed on doner kebabs, and admired the best automotive engineering East Germany had to offer. I also went to the Pergamon Museum, where I saw this. It's an Alhambra-style vase, referring to the city where the style originated sometime in the 14th century CE, in what was the last Muslim-ruled area of modern-day southern Spain. I forgot to note the details at the museum, but the kind people running the museum's Instagram account helped me figure out that this vase is most likely a 19th century revisit of the style. I was completely taken by the shape and decided right there to create my own tribute to the style. I used Woodturner Pro and its 3D Design Pro add-on to get as close to the desired shape as possible. I learned how to do that from a video by Gary, aka the Papa 1947, which I will link in the description. The output of the software is a cut list, which will allow you to build segmented rings to stack to form the vessel. But before you get even close to making the segmented rings, you must first get your material into a workable form. And if your material is rough lumber, that means milling. The linked milling tutorial by Jonathan Katz-Moses really helped me out in this process. I started by cutting a board of Peruvian walnut to smaller pieces of rough length, running them through the jointer to flatten one of the sides, then through the planer to get it to an even thickness. And eventually got to cutting the strips according to the cut list. I did this a lot. I use a so-called wedgie sled, see Jerry Bennett's segmentology videos for details, to create ring segments. These I glued up using a clamp I made based on Frank Howard's jig design. I did this in two sections to make it easier to turn the inside of the vase. Both sections were glued to a sacrificial block of plywood, which gave me a lot more room to attach a faceplate. That was by far the most secure way to turn these pieces, and I was not about to attempt anything with worm screws, drive centers, or chucks. Because the inside of the vessel will eventually be closed, and only accessible through a narrow opening on top, I had to make sure to turn the inside first. Well, I didn't have to. I could have left the inside of the vase as is, and nobody would have known, but I couldn't live with that shame. Once I finished the insides of each half, I glued them up. Here is the entire structure before I started turning the outside, compared to the photo of the original inspiration. Turning the outside was fairly straightforward, in no small part due to all the woodturning YouTubers whose work has taught and inspired me. These are people like Carl Jacobson, David Adamson, Kyle Toth, Ashley Harwood, Andy Phillip, Matt Jordan, T.F. Turning, Mike Walt, and Olivier Gomes, all of whom are linked in the video description. If you really want to learn from some of the best, check them out. Once I was happy with the shape, I sanded and started finishing the piece. However, I wasn't happy with the result. The shell wax screen finish was great to touch, but too matte for my liking. I eventually ended up stripping that finish and applied a few coats of spray lacquer off the lathe. Now for the wings, which took far longer than I expected. I first used a contour gauge to get an outline of the vase body and neck. I transferred that outline to a piece of plywood and cut it out on the bandsaw. And then used that as a template, stuck with double-sided tape to a piece of curly maple. Once again on the bandsaw, I roughly followed the template to get rid of the bulk of excess maple. I then carefully used the template bit on the router table to transfer the final design to the maple. This was not my favorite part of the build. But ultimately, it all worked out. The wing itself was fairly chunky. I think the maple was about 3/4 of an inch thick, so I got to work on shaping and thinning the wing. I used a variety of Dremel bits, burrs, and sanders to get the outer edge of the wing to about 1/8 of an inch thick, and smoothly blend it towards the inner edge. The wings were eventually attached to the vase using regular wood glue. Now, unfortunately, I lost the footage of making the topper. Insert scene missing card here. Thank you. You're welcome. But the process was very similar. Turn walnut on lathe, shape maple by hand. I do, however, have some footage of how I attached the walnut to maple top. I simply drilled holes in each piece and used a wood screw with its head removed to connect them. So that's how we got here. From Alhambra, Spain, to Berlin, Germany, to Austin, Texas, and to my version of an ancient vase. I hope you got something out of this video, maybe even a bit of inspiration and resources for your own projects. Thank you for watching.